I got a heck of a deal. I got a ticket for no operator's license in April. When he handed me, when he came to the window, he asked for my driver's license. I gave him an affidavit of a right to travel, and I had my name at the top of it. And he went back. It took like 40 minutes because I had it filed at the county recorder's office along with a couple other papers. And comes back and hands me a ticket for no operator's license, I had a North Carolina tag on it, but it was expired for 2 years. Gave me a ticket for that, and he gave me a ticket for no inspection. So I went to court for it, and the district attorney has you, when you're representing yourself, has you come up and check in before the court starts. So I checked in as the authorized representative. Well, when the judge comes walking in, they call roll call again and call my name out. And when they called my name out, I asked, are you asking for the creditor or the debtor? They would not answer me and went right to the next case. And I left the courtroom. I ended up in jail about 2 weeks after that.
Oh, you had to give me that part.
They came out to my door and didn't show me any warrant, just showed me a picture that was taken off of my expired driver's license and arrested me at my home. And I take care of my elderly parents. Both of them had heart trouble. As a matter of fact, my father had a heart attack the next day.
Good Lord.
Oh, my gosh. How would you handle that, Mark?
I have available, like I mentioned before, the motion to dismiss, because if you look at their public relations, which they call law or statutes, constitutions, the jurisdiction of all American courts are limited to one single thing, and it's called a case, and that's whether it's civil or criminal. It doesn't matter because all the crime is a civil tort. But a case is not synonymous with complaint. One of the things I tell people, if you learn anything from listening to me, remember this: a complaint is not synonymous with a case. The complaint sets forth the case, but not every complaint sets forth the case. In fact, you just file an action against the Internal Revenue Service, and you'll find out real quick that they don't believe that your complaint sets forth the cause of action. So a case is an injury with damage and redressability, meaning that the court can redress the injury. The injury is always, of course, the violation of a legal right, and then you have the damage. In fact, if you go and you type in damnum et injuria into Google, you'll get a whole bunch of scholarly reports and court decisions talking about injuria et damnum, that you have to have the two of them. So if their charge against you, their accusation is that you don't have a driver's license, well, you have to examine the ticket and see if anywhere on the ticket did they accuse you of violating someone's legal rights and causing damage. And if not, then you have no case. And so without a case, the court, which is limited to only cases, does not have subject matter jurisdiction. And it cannot be waived, unlike personam jurisdiction. And subject matter jurisdiction can be waived at any time, even for the first time on appeal.
Well, it's not on the ticket. And not only that, I had a notice of understanding and intent with a claim of right with a fee schedule that was recorded at the county recorder's office too. And this cop that gave me the tickets was the city police chief. And it took him like 45 minutes to do all this. And plus he called backup. Now I have my 78-year-old mother in the car with me. And, it's like I was a threat or something. And what he did was he called, the affidavit in. It's, it's got the page number and the whole deal. And they apparently found my other motions that are filed with the county recorder too. My fee schedule was $1,000 an hour if I'm handcuffed and taken to jail. He came back and kind of dropped that ticket in there, and he wrote on the ticket, unable to sign, for where my signature was supposed. He didn't even ask me to sign it. He just dropped it in the car.
They don't usually require you to sign it. And as far as collecting on anything like that, those are things that I stay away from. I like what my buddy Ernie Hancock says. There are two types of people in the world: those who want to be left alone and those who will not leave them alone. And a lot of stuff that you were talking about, I don't think goes towards wanting to be left alone. And at the very least, it's not very effective in court, as you found out. I think it's better to stick to a language that these people understand, and that's why I put in the motion to dismiss or the motion to strike or demur, I put in terms that they can understand. If you go on my website, markstevens.net, you'll see an actual response from several prosecutors where they come out, and one's laughable. It's from New York. Some city attorney in upstate New York came out and stated that there was no plaintiff. Imagine that. There is no plaintiff.
Well, it really isn't, because the state is a fiction, so it's a fictitious plaintiff.
Right.
And it says in Black's Law 4th edition that the fictitious plaintiff is a fraud upon the court.
Well, and what better way to bring that up, though, that instead of you or I saying it, how much better it is it, Wes, to have the prosecutor say it for you? To me, it's a lot more effective when the prosecutor says it. We had a judge in Austin, Texas, in front of probably 50 people say the same thing, that there was no plaintiff. Oh, okay. Well, since there's no adversary and this isn't supposed to be an adversary proceeding, I like a dismissal and walk out of here right now. The thing is, the point being that it's a lot more effective for them to say it than for you to say it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care what you have to say, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
No,
because they don't.
I know, I understand that.
They don't care what I have to say. So that's why, through trial and error and adapting to what they're doing and understanding how they're going to respond, that's why I use the motion that I use, and I use the particular language that I use. I'm not saying it's magic, but you have to be speaking their language. You have to meet them at their map of the world. There has to be some overlap. And when you come out with other things like you had mentioned, it just, to them, it either inflames them or they just don't care. But here, and this is why, go and look at these responses from these county attorneys or these city attorneys. You see they're actually reading it instead and trying to and I honestly think, though, guys, that they're doing their best to respond to it. Yes, it's laughable, but they're at least trying. They're not just coming out and always saying, oh, frivolous, frivolous, frivolous. Yeah, you get that with the IRS attorneys, but not so much with local city attorneys.
My only thing is I just need a little bit of help on how to do the demurrer and the motion to dismiss.
Well, I have a template available that you can get on my website, and there's a standing cross-reference that's on my website, so you can take the North Carolina equivalent, and then you could just plug those in. And then I give instructions on how to file it. You always want to file an original and a copy with the court, give a copy to the prosecutor, and I always send a copy to the cop. Yes, I'm giving up my element of surprise, but you know what? I don't need it. It doesn't matter because there's no case filed. Nothing's going to change that. Two, I want to increase the chances that the cop's not going to show up. And like I said, we've got a 75% track record. I had 2 people in 1 week where the cop didn't show up and the tickets got thrown out. So I like that.
Yeah, me too.
I had also filed a conditional acceptance on the ticket and filed that at the county recorders and clocked it into the case at the clerk's office. And they just totally didn't even pay attention to that. And also, I did a affidavit of specific negative averment, sent it to the district attorney, return receipt requested, and they ignored that. I gave them 10 days to answer it, didn't even pay any attention to it. I mean, they act like they did.
Default, right?
What was that, Angela?
Don't you notice them for default at that point?
I didn't do the default. I didn't notice for the default.
You would get your default, and then you go to a court, and you get a judge to sign it, right?
But who's ever gotten a judge to sign that?
Right. You can't get the judge. I've tried to get a judge to sign off on reservation of your rights. They look at it like my father's got a guy that he graduated from high school with. It's retired Superior Court judge in Maryland. I sent it to him, this affidavit, and he wrote me back a long letter. Said I've never seen anything like that before.
Wow. How would you handle something like this, Mark?
I wouldn't do the conditional acceptance and stuff like that. I just stick with what I believe is rational that I can prove. I use their public relations against them. I've never
Actually,
seen.
what you do though is kind of like a conditional acceptance when you go in and say, I'll plead guilty to the, and I'll pay according to the facts. That's a conditional acceptance upon proof of claim type thing.
Well, we never get past the proof where my main point is going in and showing there is no proof of claim. There is no case. So there's never any issue. All I do is keep it very simple. Show me where there's bottom line, just like with the tax people. You show me a case, and I'll pay you right now. And they're not able to. It doesn't have to get any more involved with that. In fact, one of the biggest things I tell people, most important thing is that you don't need to talk. Stop saying so much. You don't need to be spewing forth all these things. It's very simple. Just like someone years ago was very famous for saying, "Does anybody here have a case against me or a claim against me?" It really doesn't have to go beyond that.
Right, that's Gordon Hall, right?
Gosh, I forget. It's been a long time.
Okay.
When something
we've heard that one.
When something like that does